Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and thank you so much for tuning into one of our talks today. We are a year-round talk series bringing you the best creative voices across film, television, and theater. And today we're so fortunate to be joined by YaYa Gosselin and Nathan Blair, who currently star in the Netflix movie We Can Be Heroes. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was your audition, because you obviously auditioned individually, and then the two of you ended up coming together for one of the chemistry reads that they had, because your characters are in so many scenes working really closely with each other. Do you remember what was the scene that you were working on, and what it was that you immediately just thought was like a great spark of energy between the two of you and working with each other in that moment?
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, I remember. I think part of the reason why we got cast together is because we do have really, really great chemistry. Like, we are best friends, so I think that's also one of the reasons why
That
we.
was like, I mean, when we first went in,
Yeah,
chemistry was in like the room for some reason. I don't know what it was, because you didn't rehearse with us.
no, no.
You sat there and you read your
And I
book,
sat there. I was like alone with my script because
and
I
then
really
and
write.
we go in and it was like great. I think it was better that we didn't rehearse
Yeah,
prior.
I know.
And
That's
then
what.
Lion was there too.
Yeah,
So
Lion was there too. We met Lion, who plays Noodles at the chemistry read too. So I think it was like great. Don't you remember though that we flubbed like a lot in the audition? We flubbed a lot. We had to take the scene over like quite a few times. I thought that I had completely. I thought, oh my god.
I thought I bombed it, but
Yeah, me too. I'm like, oh my god, I blew it.
how
But
was your first audition like?
I think yeah, I think all of my auditions I kind of no, my first audition was good. My director session was pretty good, and then the chemistry read. I think the only thing that saved us was the fact that we had good chemistry. I think if not, it would have been like because we were floating on lines quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the audition the audition scene that we did was the classroom scene.
Yeah, it's when we first meet everyone, and
So I think we auditioned when I met you, and then
they
I
weren't
met.
fake sides. Well, they
Yeah,
weren't fake, but they were like rewritten. So like
yeah,
different people said different things.
yeah,
But it was mostly the scene where like, um, because they wanted to see how we worked with Noodles, I think. So he had Noodles say the side's wheel says in that scene.
I remember
So
that.
it was a scene where he introduces Missy to wildcard and he talks about his powers and stuff. And I
Yeah.
think we got rid of like Facemaker's lines too when we auditioned. They had it Lion say them all, just to get our chemistry, and I think it really worked. My first audition was fun because I was filming a movie just like on my phone, just goofing around with my friends, and I get an audition that day for a superhero movie. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm doing that. And my friend was there, so I wish I had a video of us rehearsing. He he did different voices for everyone. Yours was pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to.
And then when we were he came to the audition with me because he was staying over. And remember the dog that was there?
Yes, there are so many dogs there at Betty May. So
I
many.
know. So he fell in love with the little white one.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I thought I did horrible, to be honest.
I think. I
'Cause
think.
I did that one audition and then I didn't hear for a month.
Yeah, me too. That's how
And
I
then out
was.
of nowhere, I was in a pediatric, like not pediatric center. No, it was urgent care. I was at urgent care. My dad gets a call. He's like, "You have this thing tomorrow." Like, what thing? A chemistry read. I'm like, for what? He goes, for wildcard. You know what that is? I'm like, I auditioned for that like a month ago. What's going on?
I was like, I was at like an Easter, like on Easter Sunday at like church, and I got the call, and I was like, what? Like, how long ago did I audition for that? It was crazy, that process.
Yeah.
And then Nathan, you also do a lot of filmmaking yourself, and so I know that part of why you were excited even at the audition point was because Robert Rodriguez was the one writing and directing this movie. What is it about his filmmaking style that excited you the most about potentially working with him?
Well, I know he did like a lot of kid stuff along with like adult kind of movies. And when we auditioned for it, it was like right when Alita came out. So I was
Hmm.
like, oh, I mean, that's cool. Uh,
Yeah.
but mostly, I mean, I saw interviews and I saw like behind the scenes stuff. And I saw how like he pays attention to like really big details or like even small details like turn that pen 30 degrees. like it gets so precise that like, but it all adds up to make it really perfect. And he just went into detail, and he's also like a big kid. Just wants to have fun with us. So I was excited to draw on set with him, draw dinosaurs.
Yeah, all of the boys drew dinosaurs on set.
Yeah, and he always had his guitar, and he was always playing the music. And I heard in an interview that he said he plays music during the scenes. So in the training scene, he played music for us.
Yeah.
While we were shooting it, which was really cool. So I was just excited to get to know him.
That's awesome. And I know that you used a lot of the time to ask him very specific questions about directing to learn more. And even a lot of the other crew members, like the first AD, and we're asking a lot of lighting questions. What were the technical things that you were really looking to learn during the experience of making this movie with all the questions that you were asking them?
It's a hard question. What was my overall goal?
Everything.
Everything.
I can hear Hedwig in the background.
Yeah, she's going nuts. My bird. My bird. I have a cockatiel. My overall like goal, I guess, was just to make my movies better, because he paid attention to detail, and it always worked. And every time I made a movie, I was kind of like shutting everyone out, and I was the only person behind the camera. So I was like always just doing everything, and I get like you can do a lot of it, like you can shoot and edit, but if I like didn't have a crew, I just did it myself. They never turned out great. And then when I asked him questions like why is it important that the light is there, and he goes, well, it lights you, but it also lights the people behind you in a certain way. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I just learned a bunch of technical stuff like that, and I'm gonna add it to my next movies for sure.
And then, YaYa, I wanted to ask you about some of the stunt training that you did. And in particular, I know that one of the scenes that you've talked about really loving the most was that tightrope scene, because it was also really complicated because it involved, being in a harness, having a tightrope set up, having wind machines coming at you. And at the same time, you have to look completely natural and relaxed the entire time. So what was the journey like in terms of doing the stunt training work specifically for that scene?
Yeah, I of course, we all got to be in harnesses like 2 weeks before filming to get used to them, because as cool as harnesses are, I think Nathan can agree with me that they are quite uncomfortable sometimes. So yeah, it got a little bit of getting used to, and I was up there for like a good hour or two, so it started to get a little uncomfortable, but it was really, really fun having these guys that were dressed in green. They would carry my shoulders and my feet so that I could and it was interesting because we did it in 2 parts. We did the part where I would twist and fall, and I'd just like fall onto a mat, and then we'd go and we'd do the harness work. So it was kind of like a 2-part sequence kind of thing. But it took a little while, but I think the end product, like I'm so happy with it, and I think it looks really natural and super cool. And even the little things that he did, even the little things that he made me do that I thought, I wonder why he asked me to do that. Like now I see him in the movie and was like, oh, so that's why he told me to kind of like twist and turn a little bit. Like every little thing that he does when you watch the movie, it's like, oh, that's why he did it. He's like, it's crazy.
Fun fact, I had no idea that was a scene.
What?
I had no idea that was.
I know, he didn't even know because
I wasn't there.
You're
in the control room at that point, right?
Yeah, I was
in that point. Yeah, I'm in the control room, and also when they were shooting that, I didn't have to be there, but they still had me on set because we were going to shoot something. But there were so many different shots in that scene that they had to like take their time on it. So I was just like sitting in the trailer playing Mario Kart the whole time. So I had no idea that scene, and I didn't read the script. I mean, I read the script, but I didn't like that. I don't think that was the original plan, was it? No. Yeah, no way. But then, like after a couple revisions, that came in. But I never got I got the script, I think, but I never really read that. I didn't really read that scene. But I think I'm glad I didn't, just because it came as a surprise. But that was pretty. I remember watching it. I was like,
yeah, everybody thought that I was gonna die, which was.
Oh my God! Yeah, I got a text like when my friend was watching it. She goes, "Oh my God, sorry, I didn't respond for a bit. I was about to cry. I thought Missy was gonna die. And
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
I was like, whoa.
And it's so interesting in watching the film and a lot of the stunt work with all of the different characters, because they obviously worked with each of you differently, because all of your characters move very differently in scenes, and especially when you think about the powers that Wildcard has, and, you have to take on a multitude of different physical embodiment. And then with Missy, she doesn't have any powers. So the way that she moves is very different. What were the different ways that you kind of felt that Robert and the stunt team were working with each of you to make sure that every single motion that you made was part of your character?
I remember mine. He worked on a lot with the freeze ray.
Mm-hmm.
I originally was just gonna go like that, but he was like, no, it's gotta be the point and shoot. I was like, okay, I'll do that. And also for the thing where I do teleport and it turns into a fireball, he wanted me to wiggle my fingers like I'm stirring up some magic. But also when I was doing that, I was like being a goof. So in the background, I don't think you can see it because it's so blurry, but I'm doing like some Doctor Strange stuff, trying to like teleport the thing. So I was trying to add my own little twist, and then he told me like certain things, like that has to be like that, and I'm like, and these have to happen. But a lot of it was just mostly my own thing, and he wanted the Superman thing, so I had to like try to do that while holding Dylan and shoot up. That was the hardest one for me to do, actually, surprisingly. That was like the hardest stunt, I think, just because I didn't want my legs to look like they're just like coming up. Like I wanted to look like, there was force, but it's kind of hard because Dylan was also there and he's just like looking up. So that one I think was the hardest, but no, he was pretty involved with us, I think, on like how our characters are. Yeah.
Yeah, everything we did. Missy was a little different because I didn't have superpowers, but still, even with no superpowers, he still took a lot of the things that I did like very, very closely. Like especially my stance that I do, my like pose, like how Wildcard has the Wildcard jump where he goes like that. I have my hands on my hips. So, and also just everything with like especially the falling, and when I did that before, practicing on at Abuelas and then said no, those were probably the only two stunts that I did. Oh, and then the one stunt that I had to do is my first day doing stunt work. I was sick and throwing up, so that was a great coincidence. But do you remember that? I was so sick.
I think I was the only one that didn't get sick.
Yeah, we all got sick with something.
I got sick, but like that was like when we left set because I got overheated.
Yeah, you got everybody.
I didn't watch Jaws.
Drink water. Thankfully, I was educated enough to know that if you don't drink water in Texas, where it's humid and 100 degrees, you're going.
We're also acclimated to the weather.
Yes, exactly. So.
And for both of you as well, most of the time when you're working on projects, you're one of the only, if not the only, young performer on set. And so this was actually a really unique experience to get to work with a bunch of other actors who are your peers and your age. How did that create a different experience in terms of the environment on set and also the way that you built your character relationships with each other?
Yeah, I think we bonded in the same way that we do in the movie. It wasn't like an automatic thing. We all had to really take the time to bond with each other. So it wasn't.
Some of it was like.
Yeah, like for me and Nathan and Andy, it was just like an immediate thing.
Mm-hmm. Especially with Andy.
Yes, especially with Andy. I mean, I think everybody though.
You and I took a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, but we were so funny. Like we were fun. But Andy, everyone got along with Andy. Like,
Andy's the best.
He came up and he's like, "Hi, I'm Andy. I play wheels." I'm like, "Hi, dude."
Yeah, everybody loves Andy. He's the best. But yeah, I think it took time for us to bond and to really become a family, which we are. Not only the cast but the crew too.
Right.
We all like became very, very, very close and doing 3 months, sometimes 6 days a week. So.
7 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And And with both of your characters, they go on these journeys where by the end of the movie, they're very different versions of themselves with what they've learned about themselves through the experiences that they're having. And so for you first, YaYa, how did you think about the two different versions of who Missy is as she kind of finds her own self-confidence within and becomes more of a natural leader within the group, which she couldn't really do at the beginning because she didn't believe in herself yet?
Yeah, I think I think I I think the reason that I relate to Missy so much is because going into it, I did not feel confident in myself as being a leader of all of these powerful people, and being and carrying, not necessarily carrying, but being a lead in a film with all of these other huge names. I mean, Pedro Pascal, Priyanka Chopra, Christian Slater, like the Boyd Holbrook, the list goes on. There was a lot of weight on my shoulders, and I, being 10 years old, it's like, oh my God, there's so many things that could go wrong. What if they don't like me? Whatever. And so I think I had to find confidence in myself too, which took a long time. But I think by the time that Missy felt confident in herself, I felt confident in myself. And I felt like I could portray her being confident because I felt confident. So I think, and I also think that that's one of the most important things about Missy, especially for young girls, showing that it's not easy, but you can find confidence in yourself in whatever you do.
Yeah. And then Nathan, Wildcard has kind of the opposite problem where he's almost a little too confident at the beginning. And that's also part of why he struggles to harness his powers, because he has to learn to kind of slow down and focus a little bit more and listen to people around him. So what were the two different ways that you wanted to play him at the beginning and the end with that in mind?
Well, I have to say the being mean to YaYa, that was pretty easy.
Yeah, that was so easy for us. We weren't even.
I think I went through Wildcard's journey myself. I started off a little hot shot, like, this is great. Got this movie. It's gonna be so cool. But then later on, I learned that mostly I apply it to my directing, because I was always like, I want this movie to be my way, and I want to shoot it my way, and I want to do it all my way. But then doing the wild card thing and learning that, like, you have to work with teamwork and you have to believe in other people and trust other people, and be able to, like, rely on others instead of, like, trying to shut everyone out. I think I learned that, like, while shooting the movie. So I think I kind of it kind of shows believable, because while he went through it, I kind of went through it as well, because I had to work with a bunch of kids. So working with a bunch of kids, going through the same thing I'm going through, kind of connected that way. And I think that's kind of the reason why I was able to, like, make it look like really believable, because it was like what I was going through.
Yeah. And one of the things that's so great about Robert Rodriguez as a director is he really does build as many sets and as many pieces as he can. But obviously within the story, there's certain things that have to be visual effects, because you just can't create a giant shark that's flying around the room, for example, and particularly with the powers. So with the moments where there were going to be visual effects on screen, what were the useful pieces of information that he was able to give you in terms of not just where you needed to look, but what the world was going to look like that you were interacting with?
He set up masking tape usually, to show, like, a shape, like
Mhm.
the pyramid. He put tape that was a triangle shape, and then he also showed us, like, the first week there. He showed us a rough video that his son made, which was like a stop motion of different drawings of, like, how the shark's gonna go,
Mhm.
and what the world's gonna look like. And then they always had poster boards of the storyboard. You were able
Yeah.
to look at that and kind of get an idea. And then they had, like, Photoshop photos of, like, what the world was going to look like on set, so we could always see, like,
Yeah.
see what it was going to look like eventually.
Yeah, but
So that's
Robert
kind of where we got. Yeah.
definitely, yeah, Robert, but what I love also is that Robert let us use our imagination. So he put things that we had to think about, oh, what is this gonna look like? So like Brian, the AD, which we all know and love, he, for the alien tentacle, he would wave a green pool noodle. And we had to be like, oh my God. So it
Kind of
definitely,
hard to act scared of a pool noodle.
yeah, so it definitely caused us to use our imagination. But I think that's probably what made us grow as actors, because as an actor, your entire job is to use your imagination to fit into a character. So I think that helped us, all of us, grow as actors.
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
even know what the tentacles were going to look like till the movie came out.
And also, you know, as he watched you play these characters and throughout the duration of filming, he still continued to rewrite certain moments and make edits to a lot of the scenes, which was something that was a little bit surprising in the experience for you both. What did you find were some of the things that he started to edit and change a little bit with your character that kind of lent into how you were performing them once he got to see that?
Lines mostly. It was lines and like what they say. Mostly it was how like what wildcard says to Missy. So at first it was like a little different, and then he saw our dynamic and he kind of changed like what he says to her, or like or the way he like tries to do his powers. I remember one he like kind of rewrote on like while shooting. When I was doing the thing where I'm actually face maker and I'm like teleport and I go and I try to go through and I smash into that. He wanted me to hit the thing and then just go and then fall back. And that's what's in there. We had a stunt double where just run up, hit the thing and fall back. And he's like, why don't you do it? And I did it. And he's like, okay, flare your arms more. I'm like, okay. And I just rotate them as much as possible while falling back. Because he wanted to show that's face maker and not wild card. So he also wanted to have like differentiate like characteristics,
the way, like his body,
the way he moves his body, and all the. And Brian even added some stuff too. Like he wanted me to turn around and go because wildcard would never do that.
No.
Try again.
What were some of the edits that you remember, YaYa, for you?
Well, he I think for Missy it was a little bit different because Missy again doesn't have any powers, but even the little things that he did, like I had like 3 days where me and Pedro and me and the stunt coordinators did the bedroom scene, the breakfast scene, the school scenes, and the harness work. So we did all of that in like 3-4 days. And I think he had something in mind, but then once he saw how much chemistry me and Pedro had, I think he kind of stepped back a little bit because he realized that we had really good chemistry together. But of course he always gave those little directions that made such a great difference in the film.
Yeah. And then lastly, I know that at the end of filming that he gave both of you and all the rest of the cast cards that included what he felt your own superhero power was as an individual. And for each of you, what did your card say that you were?
I'll go get my card.
I don't have my card. It's back in Dallas. But one of the things that he wrote on there was quiet confidence.
Razor sharp instincts.
And razor sharp instincts.
Super dependable.
And said that I was super dependable, which
rock solid performer.
Oh yeah, and a rock solid performer. So that's some of the things that he said on my card. And the quiet confidence was funny because I am not the alpha leader type in real life. So him telling me that I had quiet confidence was kind of made me feel like, oh, maybe I really am a leader and I don't have to be that strong leading alpha type to be a leader in real life, which was really sweet.
I love it. That's incredible.
Okay. Nathan as wildcard stepped up to the plate. So he told me that Priyanka was pretty impressed with my acting, and that made me smile. I was like, oh, that's sweet. Great performance, great artist, really is the cool kid. YaYa would like to disagree with that last one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's Robert's words himself.
Amazing. Well, I loved watching both of your performances, and I'm so excited that the moment the movie came out that we found out we were getting a sequel, and can't wait to see the second one with both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.